Hello, and welcome back to Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. Today, I've got more upkeep quests to do. But now I'm finally in the Hunter rank 7 star, so it's the higher tier and it's the last set of key quests that I need to get through. Oh shoot. Shoot! Muscle memory's gone. Okay. Okay, it's just one more. So I go 1, 2, 3 instead of 2. I think the black belt skill is the most important. Maybe getting attack large is more valuable because it's guaranteed, so maybe it's actually better, but for now I'm sticking with that. Yeah, I have quests to pick up, but I'm pretty sure it's basically everything on the first page, except for So Notable and A Roar to the Heavens that I need to clear. Stop a Gathering, Song of White and Lapis, Cold Set, Rocked and Rolled, Hammer versus Blade, and then it's the Urgent. So, I can do these in any order, I just won't do this one or this one. I guess Gammoth is Reward Plus, so I can start with that. And then I can see where I'm at afterwards. A few of these are not going to be very fun, particularly Uragan and Gammoth Zamtrios, so getting this one out of the way quick will be nice. I think it will be good. I don't know if I'll be able to get through 2 at a time anymore, but I have enough time that if I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it takes 7 more, and that's enough time to clear Nakarkos. And that should be achievable. I really like fighting over there. Let's go to the top actually, because I think Zamtrios could be on the north or the east. I think those are the most likely locations, where the center is most likely for Gammoth in my mind. But it could be fun. Hello, little Zamite. This is kind of where I expected to see Zamtrios, but I think this one here is also a potential option. But it is what it is. It's been kind of weird playing this. Like, I really did notice how quick. If I'd only done key quests the whole game, I actually probably would have finished most of Master Rank by now, at the very least, if not fully finished it. Obviously I wouldn't have gotten necessarily all the deviants or whatever, but I don't regret not just doing key quests. I actually am mostly still glad that I made the decision I did to try to do all the quests, even if I don't finish the game before Wilds because of it. But it gave an accurate image of how much filler garbage is included. I mean, it's still just hunting, but it's the same stuff. So it's not like it takes so long. I need to remember that. Like, there's so many quests that are such a waste of time. And it's a good experience to do it once. And like, if I can come back and stay committed to doing all the quests, I'll probably try to continue, but that's a big if. I hate that mechanic. That probably should have hit me if it was an attack. Come on, Gammoth, do something. Good try, cat. You tried to help me. I didn't bring dung bombs. Let's hope my cat does their job. One of them has a thing that lets them dung bomb the monsters. Let's hope that they do their job. It's actually kind of an impressive size comparison. Like, Zamtrios is huge. Like, obviously Gammoth is bigger, but the fact that it's that close in size is crazy. Not quick enough to roll. Okay, this. Yes, because I was stunned, so my weapon got away automatically. Was it my mistake? Oh, I feel like they must have dung bombed. Because otherwise, come on, let me run past. They must have dung bombed, otherwise the Zamtrios leaving that quickly would be a little surprising to me. But actually not that surprising. Because this game does have them move around a lot. More than they, I think, logically would with how they behave most of the time. Yeah, this is free hit time. And it's really interesting. It's weird how big Zamtrios is. Like, it feels... It doesn't feel like it should be a huge monster, but it is. Like, it's one of the bigger monsters, which is... Like, I don't view sharks as being giant. They are big, but... Like, outside of whale sharks, and maybe great white sharks, I don't actually know how big they are. Like, most sharks are not on the same scale as, like, a mammoth. That was... I pressed R accidentally instead of Y. Oh, I'm still forgetting that to craft more mega potions. I almost never had that problem in Rise. Through the whole game, I never really had to worry as much. Like, I had to craft them, but I think honey was easier to get? Or... I don't remember how I got honey in that game. But I'm pretty sure honey was easier, or you were given more for free or something. So I was able to craft it in a larger bulk amount. Where this game you have to wait 10 turns, wait 10 hunts, then go back to a different area that has a long loading zone just to get honey. Which is really the loading zone component that makes it more tedious to me. Oh, interesting. Went to the right this time. And I didn't land on the other side. Kind of unfortunate. I got the sword out. Nice. Unless there's like something I can do to make this go away faster. It's such a pain. It's just incredibly obnoxious. I actually really prefer confusion as an effect to compared to the snow. The snow is kind of cute when you get your calico turned into a snowman, but that's about it. Or confusion, you can still do stuff. It's awkward, and it's still relatively... It's generally preferable to not get hit by confusion still, but... It's way more... I'm unable to see. Way more interesting, because you can still do stuff. And, like, there's ways to get the snow off, you get hit, you get ground tremored, whatever, but that jump was already overly committed. Trunk spine would be nice, but it's unlikely. Got the reload, all that matters. And that mostly missed somehow. Limping? Definitely limping. That death? It is. Nope, it isn't. Yes, it is. A ground tremors on death. Cool. I never noticed that. Or if I did, I forgot about it. I don't really love fighting Gammoth, but I like its existence as a monster. The big, woolly mammoth. It's cool. I just don't enjoy. Annoying. Well, Zamtrios is similar. I don't really love Zamtrios, mostly because it's just big. And big monsters they're just hard to see properly. Because you fight up close and you're just in your face, covering up the entire screen. So they're easy to see. But they're hard to admire. It's hard to see the full scale of the monster when you're hunting it because they're so large. But it is what it is. It's nice running around in the snow. I mean, that's actually kind of a perfect image of why when monsters are so big it bugs me personally. Just they cover the whole screen. Generally you don't clip into them like that, but kind of like Kirin, Rajang, similar monsters. I think they are a good scale. Teostra's not too large, but it's not small, but You can't have everything be the size of a Kirin. Though, a Teostra-like monster that was the size of a Kirin could be pretty fun. With like a supernova the same size as the full-sized Teostra supernova. I'm just gonna go grab a map because I'm here. And supplies and all that. I think the image of a small Teostra with a huge supernova, I find that pretty funny. Not super funny. Just funny enough that it would be a funny, like, shock the first time you fought it. Like, oh, out of inventory space. I'm actually pretty sure I went everywhere except for 4 and 9. Which means it could have been in either of those, or it could have looped around and messed with me. No, maybe I missed 3. That's odd. No, I was at 3 to start. I love hunting for monsters that I can't spot. I guess I have to check 9. But I think I go to 9, then I go back to 3 to check 4. And then from 4, I go back, then go to 2 and do the loop again. I guess I missed... No, I went through 8. I really hate this. Because I definitely have checked everything, but it obviously moves. Like, and monsters moving is fine, it makes sense, but... It's a real pain when they go somewhere where you, without a doubt, did check, and there's no way to know. Which is why I do feel that a, like, world tracks, but you still have to paintball them instead of them being auto chased by scout flies or something, could be a good mix. Like tracks to be like, oh, they were here recently, or they were here a long time ago, so that you know when you just missed them or something. Instead of, oh, you just missed them, but you have no way of knowing that. And it gives a direction based on the image of the tracks on the ground. It could be fun. But I don't hate them leaning fully into the, you just know where they are. I don't love just knowing where they are automatically at the start of a hunt, but it's not game ruining. And as long as everything else is fun, it's fun. That's a weird ground tremor. Like, 8 ground tremors, and then it doesn't even guaranteed hit. Too slow on the roll because I just stood up. guess I was about to say I'm surprised that it still gives regular first aid meds in high rank, but I think even World and Rise give normal first aid meds in high rank. It only changes in master rank. I feel like that ground charm is really weird. I'm glad it doesn't guarantee a hit, because you have no way to dodge it, other than just spam rolling or sprinting, but... or just being lucky. But it's kind of a lame... the lame ground charmer because it doesn't cause damage guaranteed. Which, I don't love guaranteed damage, but... like, yeah, it doesn't do damage on emerging there, because it clearly should have hit me, but it pushes me out of the way, which is very polite. And like, such an overinflated ego this shark must have, and yet it's very polite, letting you move out of the way. Oh, that's danger. I don't know why, but for some reason this giant overinflated shark just reminded me of, like, gym class games from, like, 1st grade. Primarily, I guess, variants of dodgeball? I don't think the giant inflated shark is why I thought of dodgeball specifically, but it made me think of a specific game that was, I think, called 9 Pin, which was sort of dodgeball, except people had a pin they had to defend. I can't remember if the people had to avoid being hit and avoid their pins being knocked down, or if they could get hit and avoid their pin getting knocked down. The pin was their actual life. I think people could get hit. They just had to stop the pin. Otherwise, the only option would be to catch, and that would be difficult to do reliably, because sometimes the throw would just be uncatchable. Unfortunate. That was questionable. The timing on when that hit me after the Superman felt really early. Might have been fine. I might not. It might be a specific ways of it's dangerous in Supermans and whatever, but it was a fun game as a kid. I think it was basically, once you were out, you rotated, and not currently on the field students would be sitting or would be waiting to join. And I think it worked fairly well. It was fun. And then there were other variants that were like Free-for-all dodgeball was the name? That I think was basically there's no teams, everyone's solo. If they get hit, they sit down, and then after that, if they get a ball and hit someone that's up, they switch, and it keeps going until there's only one left. Because it would naturally pare down people, because if the people who are alive are hitting people to knock them down, then there's a net loss of standing people. I think it always went a long time though. There's what, Dr. Dodgeball? And there's some weird like army dodgeball variant thing that I don't remember very well. that was some sort of similar idea, but if you get hit in the arm, you lost? You couldn't throw with that arm or something? I can't remember. It was weird. And since it was less of a... I'm dead? What? Yep. And since it was less simple than Dr. Dodgeball, it's not played as easily. Where Dr. Dodgeball is basically one person can tap their teammate to get them back up after they're hit. So all they have to do is avoid being hit and everyone else does other stuff. And I think it was a secret who the doctor was some of the time. So you'd like fake out, pretend one person's a doctor when they aren't, stuff like that. Great fun. Weird variants. There's a lot of weird games in like gym class below a certain age where it's mostly just kind of having fun. Occasionally stuff that might be more than just basically fitness activities. That's one of my least favorite types of attacks that it just did. Any attack where it's like, oh, you could get hit, or it could just miss. So it's purely luck-based, whether it's dangerous or not, is the worst type of attack in any game. Nah, not in any game, there's definitely worse. It's one of the worst types of attacks that's used in a lot of game types. I've never killed one when it was like this. Shouldn't it deflate after it dies? Well, makes for a better house. It's a giant... Oh, that would actually be pretty fun. With how wild you can kind of walk on the corpse of the monsters. A big Zamtrios hill that you can climb over. Could be entertaining. Briefly. Yeah, that took, what? A fair bit longer than I think most of the previous tier. So I have to pick a quest now. I should pick one that I don't hate. I should pick one that I will enjoy. I think the most enjoyable would be the Shigara Magala. I don't really want to fight Shigara Magala, though. I like Malfestio. I want to save the Shigara Magala fight for later. When I need a really good fight to do. I think I'm doing Mizutsune Malfestio, which is a song of white and lapis. I wonder if that's what it's even called. Yeah, it looks like it is. Yeah, that's fun. It's not it's not a localized name. I mean, it is. It's translated, but. Oh wait, I was not paying attention. I was just clicking. It's always kind of interesting. I wonder how. I guess context. I wonder how the song of the rondo, I guess, is a type of song. Aha. the quest should at least be done after this one, so... The trading should definitely be done after this one. I wouldn't be surprised if... Okay, so A Song of Ice and Fire, 1991? Well, that was when it began writing, 1996. It could be a reference to that. There could also be... That itself could be a reference to some other song of blank and blank. There's a big blade of grass. So I don't know what came first, whether that was the first, like, blank of blank and blank format, or song of blank and blank format. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, obviously, it's more like, I'm curious how much any given popular, like how stuff gets translated, I guess. 'Cause I'm pretty sure, like, Harry Potter is widely translated. Song of Ice and Fire would make sense to be widely translated. Lord of the Rings. It's like, do the semi-niche things get translated? Like, big books that are just fan fictions of young adult novels, do those get translated? Do they get translations of the parent sequel series? I was searching that. I'm not going to say the name because why would I? There's no reason not to. I just feel like it's more interesting to not. For no real reason. It's not really even interesting, but that, like, young adult vampire novel fanfic written on a BlackBerry. That author, I don't know why I was searching them a few weeks ago, months ago, but they've made a sequel series. It's not a sequel series, or they wrote another series that's just the same books, but from the other perspective. Which, if that isn't trying to capitalize on 15 minutes of fame, I don't know what is. Which it's fine to do, just... My understanding is the original books weren't that good anyway, so I can't imagine it's likely that these are going to be better. Or maybe they could be better, but interesting to anyone that wasn't obsessed with the first ones, because it's just a different perspective of the same story. It's also not a fan fiction at that point, I think. It just started as one. Anyway, weird books. The Game of Thrones probably is popular in a lot of places, because there's no reason it wouldn't be. Though it's a series of books I'm probably never going to read, for one simple reason. It's probably never going to be finished. Unless there's been news recently, that'd be fun. Like, my impression is that it was... Even the book that hasn't been released in, over a decade, even that isn't the last book, or wasn't supposed to be the last book. Which to me is like, ugh, are they ever going to finish the series? Like, even ignoring, oh, will he die before writing the next book? Nothing to do with that, just, would anyone be able to finish it at that point? After taking so long to get there. So I would never even try to read it until it's actually a completed series. Nope, wrong one. Blue. Yeah, Dance with Dragons was 14 years ago. And there's been no sequel since. And there's a 7th that has been planned. I should paintball. Because having to locate this later will be annoying. And since the Malfestio is almost dead. Thank you for getting paintballed. Yeah, the Winds of Winter. Have there been any pieces of news? December 2024. He stated that he might never finish the book or book series, but that it's still his highest priority. That seems honest to me. Stating, yep, it will probably never be finished. Or it might never be finished. And that's why I will never try to read it, because it might never be finished. I don't know, tonally, there's sort of... Stuff can be finished by other writers. But there's so much potential for like tonal shifts. Just because different writing styles. And it's probably hard to match someone else's perfectly. Now, I'm not committed to his existing writing style, given that I've never read it, but... By the time I would get there, I imagine I would be committed to the style of writing. Like, I can read plenty of long books. Just don't want to read them with... Well, no. There's some books that I will try to read, even if they don't have a set ending, because they're trash, and if they don't end, oh well. They weren't worth worrying about the ending anyway. In like a trash in the most positive way. They're not well written, but they can be fun. But if they never get an ending, who cares? There wasn't a strong enough story to keep me interested in an ending anyway. Wait. Oh, it's really funny to read a quote on Wikipedia from the Guadalajara Book Fair in 2016 about how he's been saying for 20 years that winter is coming. Or telling you for 20 years, whatever the exact phrasing is. It's just kind of like, oh, it's almost going on 30 now. Based on that 20 years in 2016. I guess it was released in 96, wasn't it? It's going on 30 now. There's another book series where I read the first book of it, and then kind of never read the second, because the third still hasn't been written after like a decade as well. And I also spent the entire time reading the first book feeling like, when is the shoe gonna drop on this story? And it was very, you know, worrying in the story, but it's still good storytelling. Okay. There's another series that I never finished. Totally unrelated. But I didn't finish because I spoiled stuff and was like, oh, I don't want to read that. Yeah, the King Killer Chronicles, 2007, 2011, to be announced. It's the same year as the last Game of Thrones, wasn't it? 2011? I kinda wanna check. I like books. I'm intentionally walking through here. It's just always interesting to see different scales of book release. Like seeing people that write, or who have written. Okay. High fantasy authors who have written like tens of books, well, over 10 books since 2011 that aren't even like super short or anything. It's kind of, obviously the creative process is not a simple just work on it necessarily. But it is still kind of interesting to see entire series, entire arcs of long stories be completed in that amount of time. I need to check. I've never read, whatever the Stormlight Archives. I think that's the name. I've never read it because I'm waiting for it to be done. But they are actually writing it. Like, Brandon Sanderson is actually writing those books actively. I think the only thing I've read by them was Mistborn, which was fun. I don't think I could ever reread it without a specific need to. I never read the sequel series. Mostly because it didn't appeal to me aesthetically. Because it seemed kind of western-y. Which, I don't know, didn't interest me at the time. What is it? Oh, the Wikipedia page is not accurate. Because I thought the second... Yeah. I'm thinking Steven Erikson. Malison, Book of the Fallen, etc. Their new trilogy, I think they've already written 2 of the books for it. But the Wikipedia page for the just the Malison Book of the Fallen, like, collection of books of what Steven Erikson has written in that world doesn't include the second. I thought they'd already finished it. Maybe they didn't finish it? Maybe they... Oh no, it's just a bad Wikipedia page. Too much stuff merged together. Ah, no. It's if there's more information about how it's being split. Okay. It's still a bad Wikipedia page. But... I thought there was news more recently, though. I'm waiting till that trilogy's done before trying to read it, but... Oh, I'd have to reread the first 10 books before I read that. Really, it's one of the longest series ever. Not ever, but in the context of this style of book. That should have hit. Though I actually think visually it looked like it didn't hit, but... do have to wonder how that... Like, that whole story was very... It was super long, the Malice and Book of the Fallen, but it was very focused on a central line. It had, not obvious the entire time, but it had a central antagonist that most of the story worked around. You know, with that with that antagonist being resolved at the end of the last book. I do have no idea how a sequel could possibly... It could just be within the world, which, that works. I can't imagine the sequel series would be very connected to the story, but it helps that the story is very much about a world, so it doesn't really need to connect to the specific plot. It's just a lot of characters to work with that I think they probably would do a good job. I can't imagine it meaningfully flowing with the previous series, but that's based on absolutely no knowledge. Other than who the story is centered around. It is centered around one of them. More interesting. I mean, most of the characters are fairly interesting, but it is centered on one of the characters that's more... has more of an arc in the series compared to some of the others, which they all have arcs, but they have the most clear growth. Maybe not growth. Change? That was kind of lucky. Actually, it's kind of an interesting thing about a sequel like that. If you know who the main character is going to be, that just sort of by default spoils some parts of the original, not much in this context, but like it spoils a little bit of the original story. It's like, because Game of Thrones is, oh, everyone can die, blah blah blah. Any story set in a world where it's kind of realistic can have people die. And a lot of people die in that. And so knowing that X character doesn't die because they're the main character of a sequel is a bit of a spoiler. I will have to look into that. What? 496 pages for the first book of the sequel. Reasonably long. But imagine if it's only 4 books is the current intention. Though it's kind of interesting. They decided to split the second book into 2. And considering the original whatever you would call a set of 10 books. Whatever the name would be, like trilogy, quadrilogy, decadilogy. No idea. Considering that, how long some of the books became, it's kind of interesting that they chose to split the second book. Either it's going to be over 2,000 pages long between the two of them. Funny ending. Or, you know, a more cynical reason. Oh, I wouldn't assume the cynical reason. That's kind of interesting. Publication date, 1st of July, 2021, UK. 16th of November, 2021, USA. Published in the United Kingdom. It's interesting because does the UK date apply to the Canadian publication? Because it's the relation there. Because it says the same publisher for UK and Canada, but they don't say publication date 1st of July 2021 UK Canada. Just kind of funny. Not important, just funny. Oh, I have to reread that at some point. It's gonna take a while. The first book I've reread like 4 times, and then I get to the second, third book, get through those. Fourth book, I think third and fourth book is where it becomes a struggle to reread, mostly because it's an arc that I care less about. It's a very important arc though. Most steps are very important. Okay, time to talk to people and go pick up my honey. I actually should have charms to pick up as well. Yeah. I really need to reread those books. They're really good. None of those are great. Yeah, whatever. Because this one's just a better version of the one on the top. No idea what Survivor does. I'll keep things that could be useful. At least a single copy of things that could be useful. Yeah, it's just a big... It takes a long time to reread a book series with the Glavinus Advanced Quest. I'm just gonna go to Palka Ranch. It takes a long time to reread a book series with word count. That's not what I'm looking for. I just want word or page count. Okay, I don't trust readinghours.com. I've never checked it. They suggest the reading time is 237 hours. Which is not completely unbelievable. Yeah, I'm here to get the trading resources. So it's a lot of time to reread it. Of course, something like that is 250 words per minute for an average person. And imagine it's faster if you've already read it before, because I have a habit of skimming if I've already read something before. So it's a little bit less than that, obviously. I mean, this should be enough honey to finish what I need for the next few days, several days. 3.56 million words. That's a lot of words. Yeah, it should be fine. This is very loud. I probably should have just done this after. I should stop at 100. Good enough. Yeah. I don't know. I'm stuck on thinking about that book. Very fun. Should reread. But it's time to stop. I've made acceptable progress today. I should be able to do hopefully 2 more tomorrow. And then 2 more the next day. Which will leave me with nothing. If I do 2 more tomorrow, and then 2 more the next day, all that's left is Nakarkos. Which will be great. I can do Nakarkos, and then I can see whatever else I want to do after that. So it'll be fun. So, have a nice day. Bye-bye.